Just want to see who's, no. Just want to see who joined us. Brian, yeah, hi Brian. And Jim. Great, let's start our class. I was just saying I'm on a phone tonight, so I can't see everybody. Well, I can, but you're like about 0.5 centimeter big, so I'm not going to be able to give you much feedback. So you've got leeway to do your Tai Chi however you want. I won't be prying in on you, but if you've got any questions, just ask as we go through, okay? And then next week I'll be on a bigger screen. But let's begin. If my dog will get out of the way, and I don't have to disturb him too much. Let's start with the heels together. The body upright, crown of the head up to the heavens, so the body feels long. Really make sure you get this nice stretch going up through your body in order to release and let the whole body come down. Let the softening of the body settle you into your feet. As you feel the weight settling into the feet, let the hips soften, let the thighs release, let the lower back open, let the shoulders and chest soften, and let the whole body settle, just like a bag of flour settling. Everything changes within it. Just let the body settle down. You're going to make sure that in the settling down, you don't collapse. So the structure of the body is really important, that we have a good structure and we release into the structure. We don't release the structure. Now, these two things are balance between holding ourselves in the structure and releasing. Release too much and we collapse. Release not enough and we're holding. So you have to find that yin-yang balance for yourself, of where you can just lightly hold your structure and fully release at the same time. So the key, if you want to ask, well, how do I do that? How do I put that into practice? Is to always have a focus on the crown of your head and let the intention up towards the crown of your head hold you up. The intention to have an upright posture is all you need for your structure. You don't need the physical tightening of the muscles to give you the structure. Just an upward lift through your intention to the crown of your head is enough. Because as you do that with your mind, it will draw the body with it into the right posture. It will give a little lift to your body as you come up with your mind. And then, with that awareness of the crown of the head, you can let that stay there and let everything else melt away from the crown of the head. So it feels like you're hanging off the crown of your head. And when you settle down, you don't collapse the crown of the head. You keep the crown of the head there, let everything fall away from it. The classics say, maintain an awareness of the crown of the head. And it's stated in the classics a few times for good reason, because the collapse of the structure or the holding of the structure are two really key things that we have to work with, because they get in the way of our Tai Chi. So in the posture, we go up and down, we release, center falls to the, we rebound, come back up. We fall away from the crown of the head, sinking, we rebound. In the falling away, the weight stays in the same part of the feet, The knees bend, the hips seat, and the lower back opens. So these changes in the body we want to ensure take place smoothly and in our control. We bend the knees, the weight stays in the same part of the feet. We seat the hips, the weight stays in the same part of the feet. We open the lower back, the weight stays in the same part of the feet. We come back up and rebound. You can push lightly into the same part of the foot to come back up. Make sure when you release, you're not rocking forwards, backwards. The weight stays in the same part of the foot, knees bend, the hips change, the lower back changes. Center of gravity drops. The hips find their level. The hips rotate. They find their level. It feels like there's a weight on the lower back. And the lower back is dropped away from the crown of the head. Keep this up and down rhythm. Smoothly taking place, focusing on the changes we're looking for within the body. With an awareness in the crown of the head. Now, the exercise mustn't be done with an anxiety of getting it right or with the sense of having to do it. It must be done by dropping into that quiet place. It's always with us, settling in and noticing how we move and what the effect of our changes is. Very different from doing the posture just like we're doing a task or doing a chore. We mustn't get into that headspace where we are judging ourselves or we are overcome with the difficulty of it, or we must just drop into a quiet place that's always with us, underneath the thinking, settling into ourselves, and from that place have an intention and notice if our body follows that intention. Have an intention to be very clear that our feet stays the same, contact on the ground, our knees will change and bend, our hips will seat, and our lower back will open. Push into the ground, come up. Settle, fall away from the crown of the head. Notice the changes in the body. Aware of the crown of the head, come back up. Fall away from the crown of the head, notice the changes in the body. Push back up towards the crown of the head. Can you see the difference between doing it from a fundamentally centered place or using the exercise to help us get centered, or approaching the exercise like a task we have to get right, and how the energy of approaching it in that way stops us being centered, stops us being in a quiet place. And it's up to us how we approach our practice and what our, if you like, what's the invitation for the next hour going to be? Is it going to be, I'm going to get my Tai Chi right and perfect and all the principles are going to work? Or is it, I'm going to do my Tai Chi, I'm going to be aware of what happens in my body, I'm going to see how I feel while I'm doing it. These are degrees on a spectrum, because at some point in the class, sure, you'll get into getting it right. And notice that tension that comes from wanting to get it right. Notice how you can let that go and still feel and still make changes and be fully in the changes, noticing how it's fluidly changing one moment to the next, not right or wrong, not right or wrong, just moving between one thing and the next thing. Let's go through the loosening exercises. The feet parallel, connected, settled. The body is upright and settled. Very small change of sinking and letting go. I call it unhooking. It's like the tension that holds me up, just let it go. The tension I need to keep me stable and held in a position, let it go. Soften the knees and the hips just a little bit. Get the beginning process of unhooking the muscles that hold me in place. Just unhook and then sink and toe. Come back up, unhook, sink and toe. Unhook. The unhook doesn't really have a physical movement. Okay, the unhook is more how I soften my body and more how I soften the muscles than any movement. So the unhooking, then the movement. The unhooking, then the movement. Bend the knees, seat the hips, unhook, then the move. The unhooking will loosen the muscles in the knees, just enough to feel your weight pressing into your feet a little bit more. The unhooking in the hips will soften the muscles just enough to feel your lower back beginning to change. Then the movement turning to the corner and moving across, settling into the foot. I hope I'm making myself clear what this unhooking is. It's quite a deep internalized change. And it's just like when you have a fist and you soften it. Fist doesn't move, but you can very easily understand the difference between contracting and releasing. Now we have to bring that same understanding into the muscles inside the body. Soften in and around the knees. Soften in and around the hips. Unhook, change, turn. Unhook, turn. The unhooking has the effect of connecting the body together. Because when we're tight or when we're held, although the body's one thing, that tension in the body disconnects the parts. What we want is we want to be like a boat floating on the water. And when we're holding ourselves, we're like a boat in a dry dock. We're still held in the same position, but now it's something holding the hull up. The muscles are tight and they're keeping the boat suspended above the waterline. And when we soften, it's like the boat settling into the water. Okay, so I like these analogies because they are quite close to what's actually taking place, the settling and the suspension of the body, the buoyancy of the body we're finding as we move. Unhooking, find the buoyancy, move in a connected way. Unhook, find the buoyancy, move in a connected way. Exercise number 2, unhook, keep sinking. We're Push the feet into the ground to rebound. At the top, unhook. Keep sinking. Keep letting something fall away from the crown of the head. Coming up, rebound. Unhook. Fall away from the crown of the head. Rebound. Unhook. Fall away from the crown of the head. And then shake out the legs. When we used to train with Patrick Kelly, he would often say each session we started, he would often say, and it would be, 8 or 9 times out of 10, draw your mind inside your body as if you're going to sleep and start to notice the small changes inside the body. Draw your mind inside your body. Find a different part of your mind that isn't busy doing. Don't start your practice with a active, I'm going to get this right, or I'm looking at this principle approach. Draw your mind inside, draw your focus into a quieter part of yourself. It just notices, almost dream-like quality, that just feels your whole body connected lightly onto the ground. Notices your sensations in the body. And it's really good advice, because we're so often caught up in busy doing, get it right, 8:15, now it's my class, do, 9:15, 7:15, now my class, 8:15, finish, do the next thing. With that almost anxiety in a day to get things done or to finish things off or to tick everything on my list. And if you're anything like me, I notice those things and I go, how does Tai Chi relate to my daily life? And how can I bring the quality that I find in my Tai Chi practice into these tasks that I have to do? Good question. What quality of mind do I need while I'm doing this task that stops it being something to get right or to do or to be done and finished and boxed and put away into something that's a process? When I go through my exercises, same quality. Organize the body. Draw the mind inside, feel. Give the body an intention, sinking away from the crown of the head. See if you can follow that intention. Unhook, change. Unhook, change. Unhook, change. Unhook, change. One of the great things about Tai Chi is you can straight away see if you're leaning, if you're moving your center across, if your hips are out of alignment, if your knees come up. We get a very clear, direct feedback from the sensations in the body or from looking at ourselves on screen or in a mirror, what we think we're doing and what we're actually doing. Even more so when we come to do push hands. It highlights if our body is moving as one unit, if our body is moving in a yielding way, or if it's just moving out of the way. So always giving a very clear feedback, and it's up to us whether we listen to that feedback, how we are with that feedback, and how we change what we do by learning. And Patrick again used to talk about intelligent practice, which isn't intelligent in terms of IQ, but intelligent in terms of if you notice something and you keep doing it, and you can see it's not accurate, well, maybe it's good to try and ask why you're continuing to work in that way. Is there anything you can do that makes things different? How can you use your practice to notice what you do and then change what you do? Fourth loosening exercise. Sinking, falling away from the crown of the head, connecting. Force from the feet through to the fingers. Connected force. Every single vertebra in the spine changes as you roll up against, as if you're rolling up against a wall. Connected. Release. The third one. Coming up. Maintain your structure. You sink, unhook, sink, maintain your structure, falling away from the crown of the head on the inside. Press onto the ground. Release and connect from the ground through to the hand. And coming up. Fifth loosening exercise. Sit back, 90% back. As you move in, remember that you're loading both legs. Both legs are equally filling as you move in. Make sure that the front leg receives your body weight as much as your back leg until you're in the center. Then drop the back knee to create 55% connection in the back leg, 45 in the front, and then let the back leg expand. While the back leg expands, you're sinking onto the front leg. While the back leg expands, while the back knee bends, drops to the ground and bends slightly under pressure, and it expands. The body comes up, but at the same time, you're connecting to the front leg. Sit back, 90% in the back leg. When you move in, both knees are bending, both legs are getting lightly pressed onto the ground. Body is connected. Drop the back knee, which means softening the inguinal region or the quad region, so let the whole thigh fall away from the hips. Not that it literally falls, but the feeling is that when you soften this area and you soften the lower back, the weight of the leg can fall away. That makes the back leg really vertical because it's just like it's being suspended from the top of it, falling downwards. The back knee presses into the foot under the weight of the thigh. That's enough to create a compression that then is going to expand. At the same time as that expansion takes place, the lower back tucks under, the connection drops to the front foot. I don't come forwards, I stay in the center. Sit back, move in, load the back leg, expand. When you expand, draw the intention up and out. You have to sink to the front leg, but let the intention come up and out to the distance. Don't keep it with the body. When the body changes, let the intention come out. And that intention coming out makes the body expand. It's like I wouldn't call it a trick. I would call it a device to make your focus move forwards and out. And if your body and your mind are trained well, then when your mind wants to go, your body will follow. And this is enough to create a rebound. But it's like when we do the first loosening exercise, we don't really want to use the physicality of pushing the foot into the ground. What we want to draw the mind up through the body, and that sets off the trigger for the rebound. The mind rising up, the body wants to follow it, and that's the trigger. It's much, much lighter than a physical thing of pushing the foot into the ground to create the movement. So for beginners, because the mind and the body are not so connected, we say make a very physical push the foot into the ground. Let the knee straighten. Physical things you can really feel. With the more intermediate people, when the mind and the body are kind of like listening to each other, we talk much more about drawing an intention as if you're coming up and out. And that line of movement, the body will follow. It's like you you see your friend 20 yards away and they shout to you, hey, hi, and you go out to them. You're kind of walk. My dog thinks my friend's over there 20 yards away, he's gone to find them. You see a friend, they wave to you and your whole intention goes out towards them. That's exactly what I'm talking about in terms of spirit of focus or intention. That's enough to create body energy to follow your mind. And that's a clue to what we want to try and be doing in our practice. So when we issue, we're not trying to push the foot into the ground and make the knee become physical and expand. What we're doing is we're moving outwards with our mind. The mind first, body follows. It's an important principle in Tai Chi. Mind leads the body. So this is a training method to make sure that it isn't just all physical, it isn't all in the body. The mind rises through the body and the body follows that intention. And if you asked me 20 years ago what intention was in terms of Tai Chi, I'd really struggle to, you know, it's a concept more than a reality, if you like, concept more than a thing I could actually work with, tangibly work with. And over time, over the following 15, 20 years, it becomes clearer that your mind focus affects your body energy. I don't often talk about energy in this way, but we need to train, when we issue, we need to train that we're not just being physical. We're drawing our mind out to our friend who's 20 meters away, 50 meters away. We're letting the body follow that movement. Oh, we load the body down, draw the mind out. Follow. Going out to meet them further than our normal range of circle that surrounds our physicality. We're going out with our intention. So fifth loosening exercise, the other side. Sit back into the center, load both legs. Drop the back knee. Mind goes out to the distance. Body responds. Sit back 90 degrees, draw. Load and connect. Drop the back knee. Mind goes out. Body follows. Draw back, draw within. Quieten down, draw within. Settle into the center. Load. Mind rises and goes out. Body follows. See if you can make sure that you have an intentional change before the body follows. So it's like one leads the other. The movement of the mind out leads the body, like it's on a string. You want to try and separate these two so it's not all one thing. It's not just mind goes out, body contracts. And it's definitely not body contracts, then the mind goes out. You're going to try and feel if draw the mind up through the body connections. Draw the mind from the foot to the knee, to the hip, to the chest, and out. Feel the sensation of the foot on the ground, the knee, the hip, the chest, and out. Sit back, load the base, drop the knee, draw the mind up through the body. Sit back, load the base, draw the mind up through the body, and out. Good. Let's do a section of the form from cross hands. There isn't really enough time in the class or online to do the whole of the form. So I'd encourage you to warm up or do the form before we do the class in your own time to prepare yourself for the class. And then in the Zoom class, we can go over details, or I can kind of help to focus our mind on what to look for in our practice. Cross hands. The weight is all in the left leg. The right leg has no weight in it. Nice big circle in the arm. Out of the throat. One span from the body to the elbow. Just like the first loosening exercise, release to the right leg. Unhook. Then move on to the right. As soon as you start to turn the left hand lift, Sit away from the right hand. Draw the toes on the ground. Step to 4 o'clock. Move purposeful. Move in. Load the base. Mind rises through the body and out to the back wall. Body follows. Hands turn around the ball. Sit back. Into the center. As you reach the 50-50, the wrists touch. Legs are connected. Load the back knee. Bring the mind up through the body connections and out to the distance. Sit back. Move in and load both legs. Nicely seated in the hips, pressed onto the ground. Shoulders dropped, body connected. Load the back knee. Bring the mind up through the connection from the foot to the knee to the hip, to the chest. Soften the body and let the mind lead and the body follow. Sit back, turn. Into the center. Connect both legs nicely pressed onto the ground. The hips are turned, the center of the hips and the center line of the body facing half past. Load the back knee by dropping the back thigh to the ground. Bring the mind up through the body and out to the distance. Body follows. Sit away from the hands and turn. Turn, step left to 9 o'clock. Move on to the left, step right to 10:30. Move on to the left, onto the right foot. No weight in the ball of the ring. Turn, jab to 10:30. Punch under elbow to 9 o'clock. Go through that section again. Unhook. Fall towards the foot. Sit away from the hand. Step 4:30. Move in. Both legs connected. Load the back leg. Bring the mind up and out towards the back wall. 5-6 o'clock, body follows. Turn back and the hands turn over. Sit back. Turn back and fold. Load the legs, connected. Bend the knees, seat the hips, open the lower back. Sinking, connected. Load the back knee, mind rises and through. Bend the knees, seat the hips, open the lower back. Mind rises, body pushes. Sit back, turn. Single whip. Square to 10:30. Load the back leg, mind rises, body follows. Sit back. Turn and step left. Move on to the left. Step right. Move on to the right. Continue turning, sinking, finishing with no weight in the left. Turn and jab, pivoting on the ball of the left, sinking onto the right foot, turn to the corner. Finishing the move when the waist faces the corner, jab, turn back, punch into elbow. Knuckle of the right just touching the left elbow, fingers on the center line of the body. Have a look at that move from single whip. sit back, the hands elongate. They elongate because the fingertips stay in exactly the same place. So if I put my finger against the wall and I sit away from it, the finger still touches the wall. The hand doesn't, if I put my finger on the line of the curtain, the hand doesn't move away from the curtain. The hand stays exactly where it is and I sit away from it. And as I reach with the back foot, the left palm up, the right palm down. The hook releases. As the arm elongates, the hook releases. So I end up with my right palm down, my left palm up, all the weight into the back foot. And I'm not just moving over the back foot. I want to find a connected posture in the back leg. So for that to happen, unhook. The knee changes, the hips change, and seat, the lower back opens. So I don't just want a movement that moves me back over the back leg, because what you'll find is you haven't got a base and the ankles are tight and you're standing over your back leg. You want to be stable over your back leg, like pouring your weight into your back leg. There need to be changes in your back leg to accommodate. So if I start in the center, single whip, and I move back, halfway back, half my weight is over the back leg. 10% of moving back, 10% of more weight goes to the back leg. 1% back, 1% change in the back leg. My back leg has to respond by 1% when I move. It's no good moving and then having a response. Ideally, we can even turn that on its head. So the movement comes from the changes. The movement doesn't just happen and I make the changes at the same time. The changes happen first, which draw the movement towards it. Okay, so if I'm in the center and I unhook and I soften the back knee, I keep the weight in the same part of the foot, seat the hip, and I open the lower back, I stay connected as I'm moving on to the back foot. Let's try that. Just that one move from single whip to sitting back. Okay. So this is where, when Patrick says at the beginning of a class, draw your mind inside as if you're going to sleep. This is the quality you need, because then you can pick up the small changes in the muscles. Then your deeper part of your mind is connected to the changes you're going to make. You're not just listening for external movements, which are very superficial. So when you move backwards, unhook, soften the back knee, seat the hips, open the lower back, fall away from the crown of the head. All the time you're moving back. So by the time you arrive on the back foot, you're connected. Then when you turn, you're still connected. These are the same changes we made at the beginning of the class when we started with the heels together, body upright, unhook, let the knees bend, keep the weight in the same part of the feet, soften and seat the hips, keep the weight in the same part of the feet, open and soften the lower back, let it fall away from the crown of the head, keep the weight in the same part of the feet. These changes that we make in this up and down exercise, we bring into the form. So from this position, we unhook. We keep the weight in the same part of the back foot and we bend the knee. We soften and seat the hip. We open the lower back and we move towards the foot. Try that a few times. Try your best focus. While we're trying to get something right and we're trying to listen, it's awkward. Okay? So if you can just listen, it's better. You can just listen to what the deepest quality of letting go. And your movement, or the speed of your movement, is in response to your release and your letting go. The speed of your movement is a response to your letting go. Everything finishing together. The release and the movement. Lightly connected onto the ground. That's when we turn. And we turn back. As soon as we start to turn, the hips are turning, the left hip turns and the left foot steps with it.
Could we see the first bit from the side, Luke?
Yeah, sure. Which way do you want me to face? That way, Brian?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I'm starting facing 10:30. I keep the hands where they are, and I've moved on to my right leg. When I turn, I'm going to turn towards 1 o'clock. When I turn back, at about 11 o'clock, I'm going to start to step towards 9 o'clock with my left foot, or maybe 8 o'clock with my left foot. I move on to my left foot, and I step to 10:30 with my right, and then move on to it. So I'll do that in the same direction as we do the form. I'm facing 10:30. I sit back, I'm still facing 10:30. Now all my weight is in the right leg. I turn. Now I'm facing about 1 o'clock. I turn back, facing 12, facing, when by the time I get to about 11, I'm starting to step left. I step left to about 8 o'clock, move on to the left foot, keep turning, step right to 10:30, keep turning and move on to the right foot. Both hands palm down, just the ball of the left foot in place. This stepping is much more dynamic than we've used before in the form. And it's much more like step left, move on to it, step right. It's kind of like much more like a dance type move. There's no kind of like, there's no take your time with this one. It's as soon as you step, you move on to it. As soon as you step, you move on to it. So it's very alive. It's very light in the feet and very alive. And you've got to think about in terms of kind of moving, you know, your partner's there, you're moving around them. You're getting to a new advantageous position quickly, very lightly in the feet. So from 10:30, sit back, and the hands turn over. The left hand turns over, the right releases. So now your right hand is palm down, your left is palm up. The fingertips are in the same place. So now your arms are long because all your weight now is in the right foot. Turn towards 1 o'clock. Turn back. By the time you reach about 12 or 11 o'clock, you start to step left. As soon as your heel goes down, you're walking onto your left foot and you're continuing to turn. There's no break in your turning. And as soon as you start to move onto your left foot and you keep turning, your right foot comes round and steps towards 10:30. And as soon as your right foot touches, you're moving onto it and you're continuing your turn. So I finish facing 7:30. 7:30. Have a go a few times with that move. I can't see what you're doing because I'm on this stupid little screen, but any questions, please ask. I'll do it along with you. I'll do it from a different angle so you can see. Single whip, sit back, turn. Turn back, step left, quickly onto the left, step right, quickly onto the right, keep turning. The trick here is to keep turning in an anti-clockwise direction. So as soon as your arms become long and all your weight is on your right foot, turn clockwise, and then your anti-clockwise move is going to have a step left, a step right, and a sink onto the right foot. All one spiraling move, anti-clockwise. I'll do it facing this direction. Step back, turn back, step left, step right, move on to the right. Finish with all your weight in the right. And the final bit of the move, from here, both hands palm down, is you turn and jab. This is a sinking into the right leg. And when your waist turns to face up after 10, strike. My right hand is drawn, palm up by the turning. My left hand scoops. Imagine a small ball here, scoops and jabs. Drives across the wrist and jabs up at 45 degrees as if you're striking to the throat or under the armpit with the palm of the hand. So from here, my right foot faces 10:30. I'm going to sink and turn so that my waist and direction of travel faces 10:30, but all my weight stays in the right leg. Turn and jab. Turn and jab. Both hands palm up. The hands start palm down. This hand turns over when I turn here. And this hand goes round, scoops and jabs. So imagine you're gathering and jabbing. And the finish is a straight line in the arm. It's not bent, it's not twisted, it's not doing anything. It's just kind of straight from the elbow in a straight line. Turn and jab. And the jab finishes at the same time as connecting, sinking, facing the direction. Turning, 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 turning. So you're still turning while the jab is coming forwards, because the turning is drawing your left hand towards the corner. So your left shoulder comes round, it pushes your left hand out. Then spiral up. As you sink, push out the left heel. Fingers on the center line of the body. Good distance from the left elbow to the body. Just going to check the time. Yeah, got 5 minutes. Any questions or observations or anything we've done during the class this evening that you'd like to recap or go over?
No, that was really good. Look, thanks very much for that. I need to shoot. So thanks again.
Okay, cheers, Brian. Yeah, go well. I'll send you the recording tomorrow.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, welcome. Okay, let's go through that section again. Let's go from cross hand. Feet parallel, body upright, unhooked. Nice. Make sure you're in cross hands. Make sure you're not holding your shoulders up. Make sure your shoulder girdle is connected, which drops your elbows into the right position. So you want your whole upper body to be connected onto your lower body. You don't want to be holding tension in your arms. So your arms should feel, they shouldn't feel light, because if your arms feel light, you're holding them up. Your arms should feel slightly heavy, because the muscles you need to hold your body up is just given up. This connects the body onto the ground, into itself and onto the ground. Unhook. Keep the weight in the same part of the right foot, bend the knee, seat the hips, open the lower back, all the way across to the right foot. As the weight comes out of the left foot and as the waist turns, pivot on the heel, there's no weight in the left foot. You're making the correct changes in your right side, in the foot, in the ankle, in the knee, in the hip, to make adjustments to the weight coming onto the right leg. So your body is fluid and is making the correct adjustments to maintain the buoyancy of the body. It's not tightening to hold the weight of the body, and it's not locking to maintain the stability. It's loosening and making the right changes in the right side to keep the buoyancy of the body over the right leg. Turn, throw out the right arm. The right arm comes up just like the beginning of the form, but you're turning, that moves with the body, facing one. When I move to the left leg, I sit away from the right arm. Draw the toes on the ground, keep turning, fold the left hand to the ear, step to the corner, move in, sink, load the back knee, mind to the back wall, body follows. Brace tiger, return to mountain. Turn the waist and the hands turn over, sit back. Remember your move, it's not just movement backwards. Change back leg. 2, let the weight of the body press into the back foot. Don't just move and then relax. Don't stay held and move back. Soften the body. Change the knee. Change the hip. Open the lower back. Let the weight of the body fall away from the crown of the head. Pressed onto the ground. Turn back. Find both feet. As you find both feet, the wrists touch. Drop the back knee. Low, bring the mind up and out, and the body follows. Sit back. Load both legs. Drop the back knee. Bring the mind up and out. Body follows. Sit back. Turn. Single whip. Sinking. 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 Step up past 10. Moving. Load both legs. Bring the mind up and out. Body follows. Sit back. Then turn. Turn anti-clockwise, step left. Anti-clockwise, step right. Anti-clockwise, move on to the right foot. Turn, sinking onto the right. Jab to the corner. Lift, spiraling up, anti-clockwise. Facing 9 o'clock, sink, push out the heel. There's no weight in the left heel. swing it through and it just misses the right foot. Ready to go into step back to repulse monkey, which we'll do next week in detail. So I hope tonight's been useful. I hope there's a lot of good things for you to work on. What I'm hoping is it'll start to show you, you know, what you do, your habits, and how you can change them, so you can really refine what you're doing in your form. And I think working with a small piece of the form is useful. Great, good. Have a very good week, and thank you very much. And as always, you know, any questions with the form, just email me during the week, or bring them along to the class next week, and we'll catch up. Thanks a lot.
Thanks very much, Luke.
Thanks, Luke. It's great.
You're welcome. See you again.
Bye.
I'll send you the recording.